for the stream to start.
I think we might be live. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Now we are
As I say, I still haven't gotten the streaming notification yet.
Oh, no, we're on board. Yeah. We're on board. Okay.
All
Well,
right,
welcome
we
back
are
to another.
live.
Yeah, we are live. Welcome back to another live episode of Sports Vibe. Here in early April, March Madness is winding down, but we still have, the biggest part left. Obviously, the Final Four and the national championship game, as well as the crown tournament still going on as well. I think so. That's fun. But yeah, I know it's always interesting that the March Madness, the championship game's on Monday night because it's like a weird night to put it, but it is like that every year for whatever reason. So I mean, yeah, I mean, but this Saturday or later on today, we have a really good Final Four coming up with Illinois, UConn, Michigan, Arizona. I mean, Michigan, Arizona, people are considering one of the best games ever. Really, really like elite basketball to be
All
played
right, all
there.
right. Let's not get ahead of ourselves here. Best game ever hasn't even been played yet.
That's true. It could be a
Hasn't even
blowout, but
been played
yeah.
yet.
That's true. I think they're saying like I don't like Ken Palm stuff like that. Like these two teams are like about as good as it gets in college. They've both looked like the best team in the nation all year, or like among them. They've both blown out good competition. Like they've been kind of on a wagon. Like we saw what Arizona did against Purdue. We saw what Michigan's done all season. Lighting teams up. So it's unfortunately they meet in this round, and the other round isn't a bad one. But you got Illinois, UConn. But I mean. I guess before we get to the previews of that, we can obviously recap the Elite Eight. So I definitely wanted to do that first, but yeah, no, I mean it's really exciting, like really exciting games. I mean, first of all, the Elite Eight, like obviously we saw our sleeper team of the tournament, Iowa, their run come to an end, their Cinderella run come to an end against a fellow Big Ten team in Illinois, and this one was actually close. I got the chance to watch some of it. I mean, Bennett Sturs had 24. It was close for the first half. I mean, Illinois had the lead, and then I mean Iowa had 30-28 lead, and even the second half close for a while, but eventually Illinois pulled ahead and their lineups of Eastern Europeans, continues to be working for them, obviously with, Stojakovic and Merkovic, Visic. But I mean, the real star of the show is Keaton Wagler, who had 25 points on 8 for 17 shooting. He's really broken out as like one of the top freshmen in the country. I mean, I think he had like a 40-point game or something like that, or 49, like something ridiculous earlier this season. And he definitely, willed the Illini to a win. Same thing with, Stojakovic has had 17 points as well, down low there. But yeah, I mean, Illinois able to get the win, moving on to the Final Four for like the first time in a long time, it feels like. And yeah, that puts the Iowa run to bed, I guess, in the All Big Ten matchup, All Big Ten West, like second one, I guess, because we had Iowa, Nebraska, now Iowa, Illinois, but Illinois kind of doing what a 3 seed should do in that position and moving on to the Final Four.
Yeah, I mean that brings to end the only Cinderella we would have had, really. Like that
Yeah.
does it, Even though nobody wants a Cinderella from a big conference, really Iowa was the last chance that we had at one, and well, that's gone.
I know. I agree with that part. It's unfortunate. But yeah, no, it's unfortunate that Iowa, unfortunately, I mean, well, I mean, yeah, both that they were from a big conference and they're still Cinderella, and we had Texas in there, and I mean, High Point was like the only team who really even made it to the, competitive in the second round, and that was a fun story. Obviously, losing to Arkansas, but yeah, no, I mean, they obviously bowed out against the Illini, but on the other hand, like it kind of does open it that region did open the door for a team like Illinois, over like the Florida and the 2 seed in their region, which is Houston, which they did beat too. So I mean, they're not really a Cinderella in any way, but I mean it is kind of like they are the lowest seed left. But yeah, unfortunately for Iowa, like the run ends there.
The 3 seed is not a Cinderella. A
No,
3
it's
seed is
definitely
not.
not.
No.
It's just it seems like low for the Final Four, I guess, but it's definitely not a Cinderella, I guess is the way I'll put it. Purdue versus Zona. I mean, we were watching this one like when we were hanging out on Saturday night. And I mean, this was also pretty competitive, but Purdue actually had a handy halftime lead, 38-31. But Arizona was very, very dominant in the second half.
Yeah,
And
they throttled
yeah,
them in that
yeah,
second
they
half.
just pulled away. I mean, they have, Kurchenkov had 18, Brain Burries had 14, Jane Bradley had 14, Koa Pete at 20, their standout freshman. Feels like they have a lot of like guys who are going to be in the NBA in a few years, maybe even in 1 year, a couple of them. But yeah,
Now,
no, they
I'm not too
maybe just Pete,
familiar.
honestly. I don't know, but like I heard like really good things about him. But their lineup is just very solid, obviously from top to bottom, and yeah,
Yeah, I'm not too familiar with Purdue's lineup either, but Oscar Clough actually led the team with a double double.
double double.
So eh, call that a little surprising. I don't really know who
Yeah,
that
well,
is. I'm gonna be
their
honest.
center, yeah, Oscar Clough. I mean, yeah, obviously very familiar with Purdue. Being a Rutgers fan, obviously. So, it's cool to see their guys like kind of grow up, and you know what I mean, to still kind of be in the lineup. Like we're all familiar with like Trey Kaufman-Renn and Fletcher Lawyer and Braden Smith, who set the assist record, I think, for most assists in college basketball this tournament. So, I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, they definitely create like a powerful guard combination, Lawyer and Smith and Trey Kaufman-Renn up front. He had the tip to beat Texas and Clough and CJ Cox. It's like, yeah, you kind of like know these guys, and like obviously like they represent the Big Ten on top of that too. So we're pulling for them, but um yeah, but I mean at the end of the day, like it was Arizona to kind of salt away the victory at the end, and it kind of wasn't really even that close. Like Zona was just very overwhelming up front, and they pulled away. Like they kind of proved why they're a one seed and like arguably one of the top teams in the country, because like Purdue had really gone on a bit of a run. They've beaten tough teams, but Arizona was just like has been a wagon like this entire tournament, really. Just so I mean, yeah, we'll see them against Michigan later today, but I mean, that was the standout performance by Arizona. I guess moving, past that over to the next game, this was Michigan versus Tennessee. This one was just a bloodbath. I mean, they were up by like 30, 40 points at one point, and it didn't really get too much better than that. And Tennessee was just blown out of the water. I mean, they were down 46 to 20, 48 to 26 at the half, and they never really had an answer for Yaxel Lendenborg, who had 27 points, 10 for 19. He made three from downtown. And then he was really the star of the show. I mean, and then Morez Johnson at 12, Namari Burnett at 10, Elliot Cadeau at 8. But I mean, yeah, they really had no answer for Lendenborg, and really in general, they couldn't get their offense going. They had bad shooting nights. Gillespie at 21, but he was 8 for 22 from the floor. So they were just not in this game. I think at one point it was like 90 to 50ish, and Tennessee actually kind of made it more respectful at the end, respectable. But like
If
my
you can even
goodness,
call it that.
yeah, it was quite the bloodbath blowout, like whatever have you, I guess. But
You want to hear something crazy? Michigan had 8 players with over 8 points and had 6 players in the double digits on points.
wow, that
Yeah.
is that is insane. You said
There's also,
six players with double digit points.
yeah.
Yeah, that checks out. Yeah, and including a couple on the bench too,
Yeah. Johnson, Lenderborg,
and
Mara,
Mara, Cadeau, Burnett,
Burnett.
and McKinney.
Okay, so 5. I miscounted. Even
Yeah,
still,
still though, I mean that's pretty
five
impressive. Yeah,
5 with 10 or more points and 7 with 8 or more. My goodness.
right.
And then I'm gonna mispronounce this, but Cadell with 10 assists.
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
That's crazy.
Cadeau, I know. He was dishing it.
That's just like, and if you go on the other side, um, Tennessee had 2 players with 10 or more points, and only 1 player with more than 10 points.
Right, in Gillespie. And even he had like a bad shooting day, but he just had like a volume shooting day. And we saw Gillespie. I mean, he's obviously very good. Tennessee play Rutgers. It's kind of like the opposite of this game, but Oh no,
Oh my
Tennessee.
god,
Yeah,
yeah.
that
I think I
was
blocked that game out of my
right.
memory.
And then we ended up playing Michigan. We ended up then getting it even worse. But anyway, I mean, like, it just feels like Tennessee, like, I don't know if this is a good problem to have or not, but they kind of have an Elite Eight problem where, like, they can't really, that's like their final line. Like, I think it's been like 3 years in a row where they've lost in the Elite Eight. Houston, um, Purdue last year, or maybe the year before, I forget. And then this year was in Michigan, obviously. So, but obviously, once you reach the Elite Eight, you're playing the one seed most of the time in that region, unless some chaos happens. So Tennessee's not really been a one seed. They were even slightly underseeded at six, but they went on a nice run. They beat a two seed and a three seed. Well, they beat the America's darlings, Miami, Ohio. Then they beat Virginia, so
Yeah,
as
no,
a three
nobody
seed.
likes you for that. Nobody likes you for that.
Beat them,
I'm
but
sorry.
yeah,
Nobody
and then they
the
right. That's fair. Yeah, everybody is rooting for the Red Hawks, obviously, but no, even after that, though, they beat a very good Virginia team that was a three seed. They beat Iowa State a two seed, and they were very, very good too. Like like almost
They beat
borderline
him
one seed.
handily.
So handily, exactly, they
Yeah.
dominated that game. So now, like running into the wall against a very good, very, very good one seed, like yeah, I mean, like, but yeah, I feel like yeah, for them it's kind of been like that pattern where like last year they lost to Houston in the Elite Eight. The year before that they lost to Purdue in the Elite Eight. So, but that's still a good problem to have, I guess. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, yeah, most
Yeah,
teams would,
yeah.
would want to get that far and lose. I mean, you're not just saying just March Madness or just a second round. You're saying the Elite Eight. With the chance to go to the Final Four. So, I mean, like and speaking of teams who have like a problem getting over the hump, we have to talk about
Wait,
the.
hold on.
Sorry.
Before we move on to the other game, is Tennessee kind of becoming a jobber for the bigger teams? Like, they're
Java?
just kind of there to make teams like Michigan and Purdue and whoever look good.
Oh, maybe like a quality win or whatever in the
Yeah,
tournament.
yeah, yeah. But anyway, like moving on from that, now it just
Moving on
this
to
game I was gonna say
this
this
game
game
was
just reinforces my belief that Michigan is now just the boulder rolling downhill, you know?
yeah,
Like,
they're
what's
very,
gonna
very, 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 very good.
yeah, what's gonna stand in their way, you know? What are they gonna roll into and not completely
Well,
knock over?
not Duke anymore because they're out. So like and speaking of teams that can't get over the hump, like, we mentioned Tennessee, but my God, like Duke, like this one is just unbelievable. Like, I mean, like 73-72, like Duke was comfortably winning this one by 44-29, more than that in the first half. They were up by more than that. They were in control. UConn could not get their offense rolling. Second half, complete flip. UConn just comes into the game. They start getting stops. They start getting turnovers. Making their way back in, and suddenly the lead's 10, suddenly it's 5, suddenly it's 7. It's like it gets closer and closer. Like UConn just storms back, and eventually it's 2 or 3. But even then, like time was kind of running down, and we're like, okay, Duke's still gonna win. They're still up, and they just have to make their free throws. I think they make one of two. They're up by 2. They have the ball, and then they Kane Boozer, or his brother, I think Kane Boozer, ends up turning it over, and like they literally just had to hold
Yeah,
on to
but
the
did you
ball. They
see
would
that
have been
turnover?
fouled.
He essentially handed it to
Yeah,
them,
he just
like
threw it right into where two of them were standing. Like all you had to do is hold on to it. They would have gotten fouled. Even if he misses both free throws, chances are like they win the game. Let alone make them. You know what I mean? Because of time and difficulty, they end up getting a turnover. And I mean, credit to UConn for hitting that shot, though. I mean, like Braylon Bullen's pulling up from the parking lot half court, but they basically got the ball, and then they set up the parking lot shot, and they get it, and that's what I mean. It was just unbelievable. Like that's what March Madness is all about. But for Duke to blow
behold the madness of March.
a 15-point lead in the first half, and then even still basically have the game like wrapped and then lose, is just like, yeah, you're right. I mean, that's what March Madness is all about. Like you said, behold the madness of March. And yeah, I mean, I don't know what's worse, like blowing the lead to begin with, or not even being able to finish the game, like when you still have a chance. Like, I don't know, but they're both bad. But I mean, second one's probably a bit worse, but like you said, that is the madness of March. And now instead of Duke, you have UConn, who is basically dead in the water, playing from behind all game, and in uncomfortable positions, coming out and just stealing one from them. And now they're in the Final Four for the third time in 4 years, going for a national championship. And an all-time, a very talented Duke team with, NBA prospects like Cam Boozer is now sitting at home. So yeah, I mean it's been an interesting tournament for the Blue Devils because they
Yeah, but
started almost losing to Siena, and they come back and win that one, and that was like a bit rocky. And then we're like, okay, but then TCU and the St. John's game, they win a battle, and we're like, okay, this team's ready for war. And I guess, but against UConn, they fall short in the end. They blew a big lead, and they have an all-time Duke collapse, and now it's just like Duke is in the kind of a similar position too. They have talented teams, and they just never, like last year they fell short in the Final Four. Apparently, it's been like 10 years since they've been in a national championship game with a team as talented as them. So they're out. America's very happy, I'm sure. Even though now UConn is in this
yeah, but
game,
that
nobody likes to
first of
meet there.
all, UConn
So
versus
yeah,
Duke was like the battle of the supervillains. Essentially, nobody
yeah,
really
but
wanted anybody to win that
that's
game.
true. But
You know?
it made for an entertaining, good game though.
Oh, absolutely. And you know what? You could talk about Duke and give them, all the smearing that you want, but you also have to give flowers to the other side too. Those
Yeah,
UConn
of
kids, they
course.
did not quit.
Yeah,
You
they
know,
were down. Yeah,
they
they were down by a lot. They just kept coming and kept fighting. And Terrence Reed, like I mean, he's become like a double machine. Like this game, he had 26 and 9, but a very dominant player. And Caravan kind of had a very off game, but usually he's good. Then guys like Demery and Ball and Braden Mullins, and it's a different lineup than the ones that have won the national championships in the past. Like a lot of new guys, but they're still UConn, and they're still, you know what I mean. They're still there
yeah.
and they're still fighting. And yeah, Duke like completely took them out of their offense in the first half. They couldn't get like a clean look for a while, and Duke was like having no issues. They're knocking down threes, whatever, and then they flipped it. They got some momentum the other way, and it becomes a completely different game. And maybe UConn can catch them from behind, and it still doesn't look like it because Duke was able to kind of hold on and like still stay ahead. But the turnover and the 3-pointer right at the end, like I kind of had a feeling like when it got close, I was like, this isn't over. This isn't over. UConn might win. They might win. They might win. Then I was like, no, wait, no, Duke's gonna win. They're gonna win. And then the shot happened. I'm like, okay, like cool. And even though I was rooting for Duke like heavily, I was just like, when I saw the turnover, I was just like, put that up. And like, sure enough, he hit it, and I was like, oh my
Like
god.
shoot it.
I was like, pull it. Like I was like, yeah. It was
Yeah,
like, it's like put that shit up, and oh my goodness, he drained it. Like he drained it from like half court, nearly half court,
yeah.
like a deep three, Steph Curry range three, like,
Do
and
you
he's
think
from
that they
Indiana.
heard you through the TV?
I don't know, maybe. Who knows? I was so excited in that moment, even though I was like rooting for Duke. I was like, oh my god, like yeah, I was like, oh my god, like when I saw the turnover, and I was like, put that shit up, and then like he hit it. I was like, oh my god, like this is crazy, and like oh yeah, it really was crazy. And for Duke, like wow, like I mean, like what a collapse. Like I mean, this is crazy. Like it's like I don't know. It just feels like deja vu again, like from last year when they like blew a big lead to Houston, they lost in the Final Four at least, and this year like not unable to get out of their region. And I don't know. I mean, as much as people hate Duke, like I feel like people don't like UConn as much, maybe even more because they've actually won championships recently. They're also become like an unlikable dynasty, and Dan Hurley and all of that. And oh, did you see the antics of Dan Hurley after the game, like where he like almost like headbutted the referee, or like he was like staring him down, like that. And like the ref didn't give him a technical, and people were like saying like like imagine they gave him a Duke and like him a technical and Duke get free throws to win it, which in that situation would never happen. But I don't know, a lot of refs nowadays would easily do something like that. Like that ref was very like composed, and he was like, "Oh, nothing happened," even though Hurley was literally like looking at him saying something. I don't know. I don't think really anything happened, but it like that was that over the line. But I just thought that whole thing was funny, I guess, and his antics are just like 101. So.
Yeah, I didn't really see any of the antics, but did you I think it was the Villanova coach. Do you remember what he said
Oh, it's about like
midway through?
I'm gonna fire my staff like
I'm
midway
gonna I'm gonna
through.
fire all my staff or
Mhm.
what?
Right, because
My
of the baseline,
God.
the play. Yeah, that's a really bad one. And then the reporter was just like, "Well, wait till after the game," and you know what I mean. And he's like, "No, no, no," like because I guess the assistant coaches are supposed to work on baseline out of bounds, and they kept screwing it up. And like, but yeah, he was like, "Nah, I was just joking." And I don't know, between him and Mick Cronin and from UCLA, like all the complaining that he does, and Dan Hurley and his antics, and I don't
Well,
know, like it
Mick
just
Cronin is
yeah, he's
Mick
just a
Cronin is
nutcase.
just
Like, oh, like the travel and this and that, and like all the other coaches are like, we get really good accommodations and this and you know what I mean. Like it's just I don't know, like it's
yeah.
completely off base. Like Hurley, like it's kind of funny though, like the way he like went to the ref and like, I mean, like he has like balls of steel like to do that. But I've always seen him like as antagonizing and like like I've always not never really liked it but like yesterday or in the Saturday in the game on Saturday, like I kind of like you know what I mean? Like I kind
It's
of like
funny.
yeah,
It
I
was
kind of turned a
funny.
little bit to okay, this is kind of funny like cuz it wasn't only that, it was him hyping up the crowd, it was him like I don't know, just the things that he was like, being like come on and like celebrating his players and kind of like I don't know, like yeah, it turned for me a little bit. I was like, yeah, he's obnoxious, but he's like funny obnoxious. Before I think I always saw him as like just way too obnoxious and like even most
Well, he
players
is.
that
I'm
he
sorry.
is.
He
He's like yeah,
is.
most it's like most players wouldn't even behave the way like he does as a player, even if they like hit a big shot. And he's out there just like, like talking shit and like talking to the refs and staring them down and chirping at fans. It's like the Nick Sirianni kind of thing, like, like so like just
He
chirping
is
at
the
his own
college
fans, chirping at
basketball
away
version of Nick
fans, like,
Sirianni.
you know what I mean? So it's just at some point it gets to a point where it's just like, come on. But like I do like seeing the emotion of coaches, like like when he does that and he's trying to get his fans back in the game and a big moment happens and he reacts and then he like I don't know, he the whatever with the ref, like I don't know. And on one hand I'm like, yeah, it's obnoxious as hell. On the other hand, I'm like, it's kind of funny because like maybe he made some wrong calls in the past and he's just trying to be like, hey, like like Aaron Boone will do that too, the like the Yankees and stuff like that. He gets tossed, but no, I mean it was cool. Like I think I'm coming around on Dan Hurley a little bit. Like it's a fun obnoxious, like which I didn't think I'd be saying. But when I saw him like try to get his own team and the crowd into the game, I'm like, yeah, like sometimes I do that at Rutgers games too. Like, like I get it. It's still a little out there, but it's more like it's a fun out there. It's not, you know what I mean? It's still like a very obnoxious out there, but like I get the energy aspect of it. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, it makes sense. It makes the game more fun. Not, not everyone should be like that or is like that, but I get why he's like that, and it does make it more fun. So that's kind of like my thing on Dan Hurley. But anyway, I mean, no, Duke and UConn. I mean, like that was a crazy game, and I really like Duke. Apparently, one seats were like 100 and something, and like 115 and zero. Going to the next round after and or some weird stat like that. Like and yeah, one seats are like 115 and 0 when leading by 15 at the half or something ridiculous, and then and then they lose, and I was just like it's just like bro, like what are we doing? Like it's just like I don't know. It's like Duke and bad collapses and losses and choking and I don't know. You know what I mean? It's just like it's frustrating. I guess is what it is. But yeah. Especially now considering that like UConn was the team to get through. It wasn't like Duke versus like a super likable team, and then like Duke loses and like America's happy. Now it's like the other evil like gets into it that you probably weren't expecting to because Duke was like better, and then now you're like, oh well, now we have UConn versus Illinois, and Duke is gone. And another thing about Duke is like they beat Michigan and they beat Florida, so there's probably some fear that even if Michigan and Arizona are like the quote unquote the two best teams in the country, that if Duke gets to the championship, that they could take him down. Now, like, there's no need to like. I don't know if that's really true or not because I feel like Duke wasn't really as good as Michigan or Arizona in that game. I think they played better. I don't really think they were like on that same level, but you never know. But now, like, there's no need to worry about that. Now, whoever wins Michigan, Arizona is going to clearly be the better team against UConn versus Illinois.
Imagine Michigan versus Illinois for the title.
Whew, all Big Ten. But yeah, I mean, I think that's probably enough previewing or recapping the Elite Eight, and definitely like it, had some good talk about the Duke game in particular because that was really the best game of the day. But in terms of the final four itself, I mean, let's look into these matchups. Starting with the Illini taking on the Huskies at 6:09, which is feels very early for a Final Four, but I mean they all are at the time and they like to spread it out. But yeah, no, that should be a very That should be a very good one. I mean, we have our Big Ten team in the Illini, Keaton Wagler, the Eastern European physical lineup against the Huskies, who've proven they've also been a physical team. They can score, they can come back on teams. I mean, they outlasted Michigan State, in the last round, and that was a game where UConn. It was the reverse of the Duke game. UConn had a big lead. Michigan State came back. UConn held on. The other one, Duke had a big lead. UConn looked dead. Then they came back and won. So now we're back to a 2v3 again. Because Michigan State was also a 3 from another region, and I don't know what we're to expect. I think it depends on the start, because I think if UConn can get to a bulldozing start, like they're probably the better team. But if Illinois can kind of take the lead and force UConn to again play from behind like they did, like I don't know if they have that in them twice or not, especially the way like Illinois plays, more physical, slower games, stuff like that. So I think the start obviously is going to dictate a lot of it. I don't know like who's really. I saw Illinois was like favored slightly, like when I was like trying to do some
It
bets
also
and stuff
should
like
be
that. So
it should be
yeah,
noted that UConn beat Illinois earlier in the season.
yeah. Well, that was actually not this season, but I wrote that down.
What?
From a couple of years ago in March Madness.
No, they beat them
I
in
did. Oh,
November of this
in
year.
non-conference play.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, then it is a rematch. I must have missed that part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At least from
Let me
what I'm
see.
looking at, it
Yeah,
says they
yeah, yeah,
played
yeah. I
on.
see that. Yeah, in the non-conference. Yeah, they beat Kansas too. They beat Florida. Well, UConn beat a lot of teams in the beginning. Like they
Yeah,
they
you
lost to Arizona by 4. They were like really up there, and then I don't know. I mean, they were still pretty good, but they lost to St. John's in the Big East tournament. So,
yeah,
but
UConn
then
kind of wanted all the
then
smoke. Now that I'm
yeah,
looking at it, Texas, Florida,
yeah,
Kansas, Illinois,
Florida,
Arizona.
Kansas, Illinois.
UConn really wanted all the
Right.
smoke, didn't they?
Yeah, that's probably why they ended up getting on the 2 line, like their resume like that. Like, that's probably why they got to a 2 seed even after losing to St. John's like twice in the season.
They also
Although one
lost
of
to
them
Creighton,
they
which is
beat.
weird.
What?
They lost to Creighton.
Yeah, they lost to Creighton. They beat St. John's twice. Oh no, they lost to St. John's
They
twice. They
lost to
beat them
St.
once
John's
by
twice.
32, but then they lost in the Big Ten East Championship by 20 points. 72-52. So like yeah, no, I mean it's interesting, right? Like it's definitely very interesting. But yeah, it's
Yeah,
a
I was
rematch
definitely
of
hoping
the.
for better out of the Johnnies. I won't lie.
Yeah, me too. I wanted them to be like the team to beat Duke, honestly, instead of UConn. That would have been like really exhilarating, and they almost kind of had it too. They were in a good position, then they blew a lead. So, like
Yeah,
tough luck. But that's where that postseason experience comes in, like that UConn has, and Duke has, I guess, but UConn also has, and come out of a hole like that. But no, I mean the Huskies. Yeah, they did beat the Illini, so they have kind of that precedent over them, and so I don't know. I saw somewhere that Illinois is like slight favorites, but I think it could really go either way this time. Like I think
yeah,
Illinois is by no means out of it, but UConn is definitely going to be a tough force to beat, or a tough team to beat in general. And I mean, like, oh, I want Illinois to win, and like the way like a lot of people feel about Duke, it's kind of like the way I feel about UConn, and probably the way a lot of people feel about UConn. So it's like whoever beats them, like I'll be happy. So we'll see what happens. So we'll see. I mean, if they make it to championship, then obviously they beat a very good Illini team. So it would be nice for like Illinois kind of not really had that opportunity, because I think they've always kind of run into better teams, and one of those teams was UConn. Like when they had like Terrence Shannon Jr. They had that really good team that made the Sweet 16, all that good stuff, and they ran into Duke and they went on a or not Duke, UConn and I think the Sweet 16, and UConn went on a 30 to nothing run. So it's just completely took them out of the game, and it was yeah, I think it was a 20-point win for the Huskies on en route to the championship. They even beat Purdue in the final. They rolled over them, and that was a very, very good Purdue team. I don't know, they were just like guarding everything. Like they were guarding Edie, they were rotating out to shooters. Like I don't know how on earth they pulled that off, but I mean they were just really good that year. They went back to back. But in terms of the March Madness rematch, I remember watching that one live and just seeing the 30-0 run, and Illinois just getting like completely taken out of the game, and I was just like, oh my god, like that is just terrible. But yeah, no, I mean it was just yeah, so that was kind of that. And then the other game though, I mean when we get to Michigan versus Arizona, now we're really talking about like a game that people have as like the real national championship, among like possibly the best games ever in terms of where these teams are in the rankings and all of that kind of the metrics. And it's just I mean, like, I don't know, like take me through these two teams and like, what they bring to the table. They're both have over 30 wins. They're both been really dominant. Michigan has hardly lost in the regular season. One of the losses was to Duke, one of them was to Wisconsin. I mean, they're like, just an elite powerhouse of a team, 35-3. But on the other hand, like they have size, they have shooting, they have a good point guard. But Arizona has all of the same things too. They have the same, like they also have a 7-footer. They have really good guards. They have sensational players, and they've also rolled over very good teams like Purdue, Arkansas. They beat Houston. They beat Iowa State. So I mean, they've really lived up to the billing. And both of these teams. Arizona's 36-2. Michigan is 35-3. So we're talking about the best of the best. I mean, in this matchup, and like what could really be the national championship game is tonight, at 9 p.m.
This kind of feels like the national championship game,
Yeah.
with Michigan as a 1.5-point favorite. This
Mhm.
feels like the national championship because, like, I don't know. I don't know if UConn or Illinois are on the same
No,
tier as either of these
I
two
don't think
teams.
so.
So this just
Yeah,
seems like it feels like whoever wins this game is going to go on to win the Natty. Obviously,
we don't
we've
know
seen
that for
crazier
sure.
stuff in March Madness, but you
Yeah,
know, this is like the two juggernauts going at it, I would say.
yeah, which makes it all the more memorable, and what should make this game even more of a much must watch, even though it's on a semifinal Saturday or Final Four Saturday, and not championship Monday. But I mean, still though, right? Like I mean, you have the top two teams probably in the country going at it in this game, and whoever wins is going to be most likely to win the championship. Like yeah, this is like cinema, as they call it. Like, I mean, I don't think like a game, like you don't really get like college basketball games at this high level. These two teams at this, and it could create a very good matchup that comes down to the end. And UConn, Illinois could too, but it's like they're on a slightly lower level. So now when you play them against the winner, like that team's probably gonna win. But I'm very excited to see how this goes. I mean, I don't know who's gonna win it. Like, I mean, like I want to say Michigan, like, but I don't know. I mean, Arizona's very tough too. So, Michigan did lose to Purdue in the Big Ten championship, but both of these teams have like another gear. I think that no other team has is what it is. I think so. At some points in the season, other teams have been better than them. I think like we saw Purdue beat them, we saw Duke beat them, we saw like the few teams to beat Arizona. But when these two teams are like at their best, like I don't think anybody can beat them except for maybe each other. Even Duke or Florida probably couldn't. So like you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I mean, who did even? I'm trying to even look who Arizona lost to. They lost to Kansas. They lost to Texas Tech. Was Texas Tech a tournament team?
I don't believe so.
I don't think so.
They were ranked 20th. They might have been, but I think they were like an early exit
Yeah, okay. So Arizona only has 2 losses.
in the entire season. Like think
Michigan
about
has
how
3.
think about how hard that is in college basketball to have that few losses. Like because you're going against other good teams like Houston, who's 30-7, Kansas, Texas, to Iowa State. Like look, you know what I mean? Like you're not, and to go that dominant against their entire schedule, and that's what made the one seeds really stand out, and especially Michigan and I mean Duke had a very good record too, and but I mean Michigan 35-3, 19-1 in the conference, and then Zona, I mean like a very similar 36-2, 16-2 in the conference. So it's just like wow,
My God, I keep on forgetting what Michigan did to Gonzaga.
Yeah, and the 40, yeah, in the non-conference too. I mean, like the 40-point win over Gonzaga. I mean, that whole stretch of like wins. I mean, big win against Auburn, a big win against you know what I mean? Like all of that good stuff. So, Yeah, like back wins against quality competition, like in blowout 40-point win over San Diego State, who's usually a tournament team, and we've seen them make the national championship game of all things. I mean, Auburn's 30-point win over a team that barely missed the tournament and whatever. I mean, they're not very good, but whatever. I mean, still, and then the 40-point win over Gonzaga. And then it was like a 40-point win over Rutgers. It's like whatever, like they're like in the same like
Wow,
sphere.
40-point win over Rutgers
Yeah,
when you beat Gonzaga by 40 points.
right, exactly. And then it kind of evened out. Then they started beating on other teams, and then they like McNeese State, like LaSalle. But then it kind of slowed down for them. They beat Penn State by 2. They lost to Wisconsin. They started
Well,
winning by more.
Wisconsin was kind of like the upset king. They
Yeah, the
lived and
upset
died by the
king.
upset.
Yeah, but then well, right, and then High Point happened to them after all of that. Yeah, so yeah, like you said, lived and died by the upset. But no, I mean like other than that, yeah, but then it kind of became like more respectable wins, like normal scores for a while. But yeah, even in the tournament, I mean, beat a very good. I mean, Howard
But
hung
you got to
around in
think
that
they
game for a
doubled
while.
up. They doubled up on Michigan State. They beat
Yeah,
Nebraska.
they beat
Um,
State. Yeah, exactly. They lost to Purdue in the championship. They beat Wisconsin. They lost to Duke. That was one of their only losses.
they beat Illinois.
It beat
They beat
Illinois.
they beat Purdue in the regular season.
Right. They beat Michigan State 2 times.
Yep.
Yeah.
They beat Alabama. They beat Tennessee.
Yeah.
They beat St. Louis, which was kind of the darling coming into the
Yeah, and they were
tournament.
they were like a very, very good mid-major team. Like, they were a 9 seed who just obliterated Georgia like by 40
Yeah.
points. So like yeah, so I mean that was something. Like yeah. Yeah, exactly. And then St. Louis would just beat Georgia by 40. They beat them by 23. They beat Alabama by 13, and it would look like more than that. And they beat they beat Tennessee by 33, and it looked like more than that. So now, like, now they're rolling into the Zona game, like, all, on top of their stuff, you know what I mean? And the same thing with Arizona, though. So, like, yeah, like I said, this is going to be a really good game. There's not really much more to say. Like, Michigan's a 1.5 point favorite. I think they might be the better team, but I don't know. I don't know. I mean, both of these teams are so good and so athletic, so skilled. Like, it's gonna really be like, I feel like Arizona might have the better guards, like in Bradley and like some of their guys like that. Like, and Michigan has the better front court though. So, with their size, their 7 footers, and I think that's where it could get interesting to see, like, which side of that could win out. But I think Arizona also has a 7 footer too. So like I don't know. You know what I mean? I think Arizona has the better like guards. Michigan has the better front court. So I think we'll see which side wins out in the end.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to take Michigan because, like I said, I feel like that's the boulder rolling downhill. If, first of all, if um if Arizona can't stop them, I'm very certain whoever's in the next round, who's ever in when it comes out of UConn, Illinois, is not going to stop them. So
Yeah, I would have to agree with you
I don't
there.
mean to be rude, but like they just they seem like the boulder going downhill, and I don't think that you know team of
Right.
destiny, I guess is what I'm going to call it. you know,
Yeah.
destiny is in motion.
Yeah, it does feel like that for sure. Yeah. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I feel like either of these teams could probably say that maybe. And again, like, I mean, I feel like, it's just interesting because I feel like Arizona, as good as they've been over the years, I think I don't know when they haven't won a national championship recently. I don't even think they've been the Final Four recently. Michigan, same thing, you know what I mean? So, like, it's like kind of like, new breaking ground for these teams. Like Illinois, same thing, you know what I mean? So, UConn's the only one who's really like been here and proven it, like in the last few years. So, like Michigan, I think made the Final Four several years ago, like 2018 around then, but with the Jordan Poole shot and everything. But yeah, I mean, I feel like for some reason, as good as Arizona's been, they've fallen short in the regular. As good as they've been in Big 12 play, they've fallen short. I feel like Illinois has not really been able to take the next step. I feel like Michigan for a while has kind of been quiet, and they were really bad a few years ago. They've rebuilt into this power, and UConn, like, surprise surprise, like they're back in the Final Four again when everybody had Duke, at least getting to that point in time. So anyway, yeah, no, it should be a really good Final Four. I'm really excited. I guess other than that, I mean, like, yeah, we could transition over to some other sports because baseball season is officially back and rolling, and the Yankees are, like, doing a really good job. I mean, they're at the top of the league right now. I mean, they're 6-1. They're just on fire. Their pitching has been not only elite but historically good. I mean, their starting pitchers have had a .53 ERA through 6 games, and I mean, it's just been before the Marlins game, I guess. But, like, I mean, it's been, sweeping. I mean, the Giants, losing one to the Mariners. I mean, back-to-back shutouts to start the season, 7-0, 3-0. Schlittler's been insane, but the entire rotation really has. And, I guess, yeah, the bats are coming to life. I mean, Aaron Judge is hitting, like, home runs and stuff like that again. And I mean, like, like, we're like the Yankees are, like, back and ready to play. Like, I'm really excited to see this team. Like, this is, like, they're very, very fun.
I honestly haven't really watched much of the Yankees so far this season, but I do want, to my understanding, their pitching has been essentially lights out on everybody. The Giants are not the best team in the MLB, but still essentially giving up the shortest amount of runs across that span. That says something about what the Yankees defense is going to be.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I mean, the amount of runs that they're giving up is like it's just crazy. I mean, to think about, like, how few, like, they were giving up 3 runs through, like, like 4 games or something, like ridiculous like that. And 6 runs through 6 games is like, and you know what I mean? Like, it's just nuts. And yeah, the Dodgers obviously are the Dodgers. But they're also off to a good start. But I don't know. It's like, taking a look at these standings, like, it does kind of feel like we're kind of back to where we left off again. Like, the Dodgers are very good, the Brewers are very good, the Braves are very good, off to a quick start. Phillies are kind of surviving a slow start. The Mets are, like, 500 again. And we're already kind of, like, the divisions are already shaping out, and it's only been like a week. And the Yankees are now at the top of this, and they look really good. Like, the Blue Jays are second, and then the Guardians are at the top, the Astros are at the top. So it's like we're already kind of, like, seeing the divisions, like, take shape again, which is, like, it's kind of weird, you know what I mean? But, like, we're already kind of, like, seeing that happen a little bit. But it's very early in the season. Obviously, Yankees had their home opener against the Marlins yesterday. They have a couple more today, or, well, today, tomorrow, one, on Sunday. I was thinking of maybe going to, but not too sure. But yeah, I mean, like, it should be pretty fire, honestly, either way. Yeah. That's pretty much all I got on baseball, but I know they've been absolutely, like, dialing it up as of late.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, like baseball is the season is so long, so there's going to be a lull point in the middle, you
Yeah.
know, where you're just like, oh, there's another game. Oh, there's another
Yeah, it's
game.
just like
Oh, there
another
goes
game
another.
another game, like, literally every day, and you kind of just, like, it's like, none of this really matters
But
until October, but it
one of the
does.
things that I realized is that you can't enjoy baseball the same way you enjoy other sports. Baseball is more like the picnic, sitting outside,
Yeah, like the
cracking a beer
vibes and
type
just,
sport,
yeah,
rather than
exactly,
like the
exactly.
come on, let's go.
No, you're totally right about that. Yeah. Yeah.
It's America's pastime, not America's passion.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I mean, you know what I mean? It's nice to go and enjoy and watch, but it's just like for a while, like, nothing really, you know what I mean? Nothing really happens, or, like, it's like swinging you know what I mean? It's like a strategic game, and every once in a while you get, like, the crack of the bat, or you get, like, a big play. But a lot of the time it's just nice to sit back and just to watch, the pitches go by, and watch the count and the challenges, and see who gets on base, and you know what I mean? Like, see if you can put a couple runners on base, and basically break through the defense. And it's like a game of strategy. It's not like a game of, like, let's go, like football, like, they're down, like, really big you know what I mean? Like, every play is really big. You're on the edge of your seat. You're counting yards. You know what I mean? It's it's not really the same as that. Or even basketball or hockey, like those are like very intense. Baseball's kind of like relaxed, like yeah, the Yankees are on, I'll just chill, enjoy it, and watch, like start, you know what I mean, like just start doing the math with the count and just see who can get on base, and eventually who's gonna hit a home run, and you know what I mean, like by the end of the game, like yeah, like hopefully your team comes out on top. But it's more like, I get what you mean, it's less
It's a
intense,
more
it's
of a
more,
picnic feel.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. You're enjoying like the flow of the game. You're not really like, living and dying on every single play. Like, oh my God, it's you have to pick up 10 yards and this and that and hits and
There's a
like, all
famous
that good
skit,
stuff.
I think it's by, George Carlin, where it's like, if you're at a baseball game, there's like a picnic atmosphere. Tensions might run high, but there's no like, animosity in the crowd. And in football, you feel like 13 times throughout the game, you can take the life of another human being.
Yeah. No,
If you've never seen that skit, it's such a good skit. I think it's George Carlin, um, the comedian behind it. Uh, uh, if you've never seen it, I would absolutely recommend it.
yeah,
It's so funny to watch, and it's literally about what we're talking about right now, about the differences in atmosphere between the two games.
yeah. That's so like so interesting actually.
Have you seen that skit?
No, I don't think I have actually. Like
I'll have to send it to you. It's really funny. You would love it.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, you should definitely send that to me. But anyway, I mean that's kind of like baseball, like early season baseball, like in a nutshell. So yeah, other than that, I mean, basketball is still rolling on, and we're getting very close to the playoffs now. I think teams are starting to clinch their, the playoffs. I mean, it's still kind of the same picture in the East. We're looking at the Pistons, the Celtics, the Knicks, the Cavs, all clinching spots. This year, the play-in's gonna look a little different because usually like the trio of the Hawks, the Bulls, and the Heat are always like in that play-in, and this year it looks like it might just be the Heat. The Hawks are all the way up at fifth. The Sixers are now in sixth. Raptors, Hornets, 7, 8. I guess they'll be in the play-in, and then the Heat are 10. The Bulls are back at 12, and the bottom of the East is just so bad. Like it's just like, you know what I mean? It's just like they're just wow. So now the Wizards have like officially entered last place. And the Pacers and the Nets are now tied at 18 and 59, and Chicago's at 29-48. And then it's like a race to the bottom. And then in the West you have the Kings and the Jazz now, at 21 and 57 at the bottom over there. So it looks like they got a few wins when we weren't really paying attention. But because I know the Nets beat the Kings like relatively handily, but it's just gotten so ugly. Like it's like, tanking's
I'm
become
like,
like,
it's like, I love sport, but I was talking with a couple of buddies of mine yesterday, and I'm like, I'm so done with the NBA. Like, that's probably because
it's a,
like
yeah,
my team will maybe never ever get it right because we're ran like a traveling circus rather than an actual basketball team.
yeah,
But and I do like the Pacers too, but I feel like the Nets are just
yeah,
never going to get it right because, like I said, they're an absolute like traveling circus of a team. Um,
right.
but like, just the thing is, like, it's not even just like the fact that they lose, but it's the fact that they go like that they're one of the worst teams in the entire league year after year, year
Yeah,
after year. There are 20 teams essentially that make the playoff. And yes, the
yeah,
play in is part of the playoff. Like if you're playing postseason basketball, it's a playoff.
yeah,
So there are 20 teams that make the postseason, right?
right,
And we can't even manage to get in the top 20 of a 30 league team
right.
of a 30 team league. Sorry, that's like inexcusable. Like I
Yeah, no,
understand like building for the future and whatnot, but we are so bad that we can't even consistently place in the top 10 of a 15 team division or conference,
right.
you know?
Yeah, top
We
10,
can
like that shouldn't be like that hard. Like top 10 out of 15. Like more teams make the playoff in this sport than any other sport, you know.
more more teams make the playoffs than don't. you know?
Yeah.
20 teams make the playoffs, 10 teams don't. And you
Right.
got to think, like, when you split that, like, 10 teams make it from each conference and 5 teams don't. Two-thirds of the teams from each conference make the playoffs. And we
Right.
can't even get in that.
I know. Yeah, it's
It's freaking
terrible.
ridiculous,
And not
man.
only
It's
like can we not
inexcusable.
yeah. Yeah. And it's not only can we not make the playoffs like or the play-in, like we're not even competing for the play-in.
They're
Like
not even
this team is
close.
this team has given up on everything. Like everything except for getting draft picks.
But
And
they
like,
do that every year. And the thing is,
yeah.
like, you would think that with a 10-team playoff, that there wouldn't be that much of a difference between the last team in and teams near the bottom of the league. But we're 22 games back of Miami, who's
Yeah.
the number 10 seed. We're 22 games back.
Yeah. And the fact is, like, what makes this even worse is that we're like not the only ones in this boat, by the way. Like, the Pacers are this bad, the Wizards are this bad, the
And
same teams.
I'm a Pacers fan too.
Yeah, I
Like,
know. For you, it's like, well, at least you guys were in the finals. You guys were probably a Halliburton injury away from winning the championship last season. I believe that with my like full heart. As good as the Thunder were,
well,
if
so do
Halliburton
I,
was
but
healthy,
yeah.
they would have won it. I swear. Like, you know what I mean? Like the
But
way he
having
was about to,
two
he does not shoot like that. He's very unselfish. He was pulling like, like the trigger early, like like 9 early points. Like he was gonna go for 40 that game. Like he was. It's too bad. It really is too bad that we didn't get to see it. And even if they somehow lost, like it would have been one heck of a performance. But it's really too bad. Like, but
even
yeah.
like
So now the Pacers are just there, and the Thunder is still the Thunder, I guess. So like on the other end, but no, yeah, like that's unfortunate. But
it's like it's dude, I just the thing that bothers me even more is that the Thunder have less losses than the Pacers and the Nets have wins. You know?
yeah,
The Spurs have the same amount of losses as the Nets and the Pacers have wins.
yeah. They have
This
less
is like the
losses than we
rich
have.
get richer and the poor get
Yeah,
poorer.
that is so true. They have less losses than yeah. I mean, you're not wrong. And again, like the Thunder and the Spurs are like that's gonna be such a good like Western Conference
Yeah,
Finals.
but
Like
this
you
is
know,
from our point of view, this is freaking pathetic. Like, yeah, we could talk about like the contenders and the people on the top, and I feel like we've done that for the past
we
couple of
have
weeks. We've always talked about who we think who we think
who's
can
gonna get to
contend.
the right. It's kind of the same thing every week too. Like
There's a steep drop off between the number 10 seeds and the number 11 seeds in both conferences. Memphis being 11 games back of Golden State and Milwaukee being 10 games back of Miami. That's just again, that's like inexcusable, especially with a team with a playoff so big. It's like
right,
whoever's not in those top 10 is just completely overmatched in anything that they do, and it's
right,
insane, you know? It's
yeah,
insanity.
yeah. It is insanity. Yeah, yeah.
Because
No, it's just
think about it.
it's
Golden State
yeah.
has a losing record. Golden State has a losing record, and Memphis is still 11 games back.
Right? Yeah, it's like these teams at the bottom are just like so out of it that it's like they're incentivized to lose, and
They're
that's
so
basically what it is. Like it's
not
the
even
team.
that they're incentivized to lose, but they're so bad and they're so poorly run.
There's like no
Like,
chance.
how many times do we see the Kings here? How many times do we see the Jazz here? How many
Every
times do we see the
year, every
freaking
year,
Pelicans,
every
the
year.
Wizards, the
Yeah,
Wizards, the
the
Nets,
Wizards
the
and Nets, like usually Charlotte. Like I mean,
Charlotte somehow is winning.
yeah, they've
Good for
actually
them,
gotten
but
better. But yeah, the Wizards, the Nets. Like I mean, that's usually the same teams every year. In the West, it's like the Kings,
Orlando
the
too.
Jazz. Yeah, Atlanta sometimes, but they've kind of come out of it. The Pelicans, the Memphis. I mean, those teams have kind of been like decent like over the years. But yeah, like a lot of times it's like the Kings. Even they've made the playoffs. Like everybody has their years, but like I mean, it's just like these teams at the bottom. Like yeah, the Kings, the Jazz,
But
21 and 57, and then
the thing
in
is,
the
like,
East, it's like
for
even worse. Like you have teams that are 17 and 59, and 18-59 and 10-game losing streaks, and like the only team that they can ever beat is each other because they're literally trying to lose games at this point. Like it's just,
Yeah,
it's
but
like
it's not even
yeah,
like you're talking about like, oh, some teams have the years, and like, you know what? That's all fine, well, and dandy, but like a team
I just
having their
yeah.
year for like the Kings is being like the fifth seed,
Sacramento. Remember
you
that? Like
know?
them playing Golden State and like how like how everybody was so excited. Like that was them having their year, I guess. And
Yeah,
you
but
know what I
like
mean?
the year for the Kings is them being like the fifth seed. The year for the
Yeah.
Nets is being like the fourth seed, you know?
Yeah. And like losing with
The year for the
having the Nets kind of like bucked their trend by trying to put a super team together, and then obviously that fell flat too. So like
go back to trying to buy a championship. I swear, like
yeah,
just
let's just do
get
that.
it.
Like that, it's just too bad that didn't work out. Cause yeah, whatever. But like, I mean, like you have Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, James Harden, and they're still not healthy. And like, even that's just so frustrating. It's like on one hand, they're like I don't even know what happened. Like Kyrie was injured. They didn't play much together. Harden was like half injured, and even then, they were literally a Kevin Durant shoe like away from probably like at least getting to the finals, if not winning the championship. Even then, and like that's like what blows my mind. Even with all the injuries, everything, just only having KD and a half healthy Harden and the rest of them would have probably still in that week East gotten them over the line against the Bucks, over the line against the Hawks, probably over the line against the Suns, and like that didn't even get to happen. And it's just like like back it's just like pain. Like it's like back to misery, you know what I mean? Like we go, I guess. So like I don't know.
Yeah, and
Yeah. Even with all the injuries and all the non-playing and all the ego and all the nonsense, they were still that close to winning a championship because, that's how championships are won, I guess. But like not with us. So like I mean, like even then they were that close. But yeah, it wasn't our time. And now because of that, like now we have like a 10-year rebuilding project ahead of us, and like it's just like the draft picks and I don't know
yeah,
the
we'll
young,
see
you
the
know what I mean?
playoffs again in 20 years.
Yeah, we'll be there in like I mean the thing is we had like 5 draft picks in the first round last year. I don't know how many we have this coming up
Yeah,
this year.
but
Like
none of them are going to be like none of them are really that good.
no, only like Doman, and he was even injured for the rest of this, like out for the season. And
We
we
had
got rid of
5 picks, and I don't think any of them are going to
uh
be making like a rookie team or anything like that.
yeah, I think maybe like Jaeger Doman was pretty nice, but like I mean, he's the only one I could think of. Like and most of them were like not good, like not that great. And yeah, this team, like I don't even know like what's going on. They have like some players, like I mean, they still have Claxton, they still have their young lineup, but it's basically all the young lineup now. And there's like and Terrence Mann is here. They got rid of Cam Thomas, which I don't know, man. Like yeah, there's
Why
something
would
up
you
with
do that?
him.
Why would you
Yeah,
do
like
that? You trade away
exactly.
the franchise cornerstone. Like you're stupid.
Literally, he was giving you buckets. Like, what more could you want on a team like this? Like, and then Michael Porter Jr. is a nice piece too. I haven't seen him in a while. I think they should have done for the season too.
Looking at the overall team statistics of just the Nets in general, the best statistic in terms of, in relation to the rest of the league is the fact that they are 18th in three-point field goal per game, essentially. You know?
18.
Yeah, they're 18th in the league. That is their best statistic compared against the rest of the teams. Everything else is 30th, 27th, 30th,
Right.
27th, 30th, 22nd, 24th, like in the league. The only
Yeah.
thing that we're like the 18th, which is our highest stat in comparison to the rest of the league, is the amount of field three pointers we make per game. Other than
Yeah.
that, everything is just awful. Like just awful. Rebounds 30th, offensive rebounds 22nd, assists 24th, assist percentage 18th, steals 21st, turnovers 29th. Like
Right.
this is infuriating.
Yeah. It was really bad, honestly.
Yeah.
Anyway, I guess enough on that. We could shift over to the NHL, I guess now. But that's been
Well,
talked about.
NHL, just gonna kind of provide my updates here. The Islanders are currently fighting for their freaking life right now. You know, um, they are 1 point ahead of the Blue Jackets and the Flyers, and 4 points ahead of the Capitals. But the thing is, all of those teams have a game in hand on them. Literally
Oh,
every single one. They're only 1 point ahead of like two teams that can leapfrog them essentially at any moment,
yeah,
which is just wonderful. You know,
yeah,
um, the Maple Leafs have officially been eliminated from the playoffs.
great.
Officially, um, San Jose is San Jose is in a playoff spot, which they've been making a strong push over the past couple of weeks, even though they're only 4-5-1 in their last 10. But San Jose is still holding on to that playoff spot.
Hmm.
But Nashville, L, LA, um, sorry, Nashville and LA are tied with them in points, but San Jose has a game in hand on them.
Mm.
So all three of those are sitting at 79 points, but like I said, San Jose has the game in hand. So that's why they're in the playoffs over the Predators and the Kings. Um, the Canucks seem to just be limping out the rest of the season, but they did have what is their version of the Super Bowl in an 8-6 win over the Avalanche. Or I guess if we're talking hockey, I should say their version of the Stanley Cup. But yeah, they earned an 8-6 win over the Avalanche. I don't know how that happened because the Avalanche have been rolling everybody. But yeah, uh, and Pittsburgh has put some distance between them and the Islanders for second place in the Metro, and it looks like both wildcard spots are going to go to Atlantic teams.
Wow. Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah,
Both go to Atlantic. Yeah, and that's it looks like it, right? Because yeah, I mean the Canadians, the Bruins, like the Senators and Red Wings are still battling for that last one with 88, and then
well,
um
Columbus is in there too, but Columbus
yeah,
doesn't have the game in hand, and so also the Flyers are in there too, but the Flyers don't have the game in hand either. So
yeah, true.
that's gonna the Eastern this playoff race is incredibly interesting, especially as an Islander fan. It's gonna be a photo finish essentially, and the thing is, um, the Islanders have upcoming games against the Hurricanes, Senators, Maple Leafs, Canadians, and then the Hurricanes again, which having the Hurricanes twice does not bode well for us. Um, the Bruins get the Lightning, the Flyers, the Hurricane, the Lightning again, the Blue Jackets, and the Devils.
Yeah,
Um, the Senators, the Wild, the Lightning, the Hurricanes, the Panthers, the Islanders, the Devils, and the Maple Leafs. See, the what might benefit the Senators is that they have the games against the Devils and the Maple Leafs at the very end. So, two teams that are not playing well this season. Who knows what happens? Detroit has been kind of on a downward swing, but the good news for them is that they don't have a tough remaining schedule. They have the Rangers, the Wild, the Blue Jackets, the Flyers, the Devils, the Lightning, and the Panthers. So their remaining schedule isn't all that tough. Um, the Blue Jackets have the Jets, the Red Wings, the Sabres, the Canadians, the Bruins, and the Capitals. Now, I am very happy about that because other than the Jets, all of those teams are either in the playoffs or fighting for the playoffs.
right.
So makes me a little bit happy to know that at least the Blue Jackets have a rough schedule upcoming.
Huh. Fair, fair. Yeah, the Jackets are definitely in the midst of a playoff spot. Yeah,
Well,
they're
they
on a
are.
5 game losing streak too. So
They're on a five they're on a 5 game losing streak, but the thing is they're still only 1 point back of the Islanders right now. They can
yeah,
leap all the way into the Metro of 3 if they win
yeah,
their next game. The
yeah,
Islanders are four and
exactly.
six over the last 10, while the Blue Jackets are
Yeah,
4-5-1.
4-5-1.
So,
And
and the
exactly. And the
Flyers
Flyers
are
are also
charging
88.
too,
Yeah, they're also like right there with 88 points. So
but
it's
they
gonna
have
be an
upcoming.
interesting. It's gonna be an
They have
interesting race because yeah, for that last spot because on both sides, because the Bruins are sitting at 94. Lightning and Sabres are at 100. The
Well,
Canadians are at
I would say the
98.
Bruins have more or less locked up that wild card 1
Or
spot if
one,
they
yeah.
don't get into the top 3 in the Atlantic.
Right.
So, I
But the
don't think
rest
they're
of
gonna.
it, like,
What's up?
I mean, yeah, but the wild card 2 spot, like, I mean, there's on the Atlantic side, you have the Senators and the Red Wings, and then on the other side, you have, I mean, well, you have the Blue Jackets and the Flyers, and whoever doesn't get the Metro 3, basically.
Yeah, so really, the one to look out for is the Metro 3 and the wild card 2,
Yeah, Metro
because
3 is
that's
gonna be interesting, and then the wild card 2 could go to, like, as many as 4 different teams, like, 5, I guess, if you include the Islanders. So yeah, I mean, that could be very interesting.
I just wanna let it be known, I will be there on April 9th to root on my boys against the Toronto Maple Leafs.
One.
I really hope to see a win. So far in Islanders games that I've seen in person, I am 2-1. Actually, no, sorry, I am 2-0-1
2
because
oh,
I haven't seen a loss in regulation.
nice. Yeah, so and then in the West, you have the Avs, Stars, and Wild already clinching their playoff spot. Looks pretty clean cut. You have what looks like the President's Trophy winner in Colorado, and then you have
Well, the West freaking sucks.
yeah, they're really
The
bad. And
West
then
is
the
so
Pacific,
bad.
you have teams like, I mean, then you have the Oilers and the Ducks and the Knights, sitting at the top three. And your wild cards look like the Mammoth have one, and the Sharks, like you said, have the other one. Looks like maybe, but they're tied with the Kings and the Predators for that second wild card over there. So that's
With
also
the
very
game in hand,
interesting.
though. With the game in
Yeah,
hand.
with the game in hand, so it's something to keep an eye on for San Jose fans. But yeah, like this is like we're just talking about basketball. I mean, look how much more competitive this is. Like even the teams at the bottom, there's barely any that are just like really out of it, except for like the Canucks, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, no, literally,
The
the Canucks are
Canucks,
the only one
yeah,
that's really out of it, and that
yeah,
just speaks more on the Canucks organization, because if you look at the worst team in the East, the Rangers, they're 9 games
mhm,
ahead of the Canucks,
yeah,
you know?
exactly, yeah,
9 games
yeah.
ahead, and, um,
Yeah, even these like
sorry.
bottom East teams like the Leafs and the Panthers have 77, the Rangers have 71, the Devils have 80. They've been like on a tear lately, which is why it kind of sucks that like they're going to be short of the playoffs in all likelihood. But
You know
you
what you
know,
should do? You know what you should do that would be really funny in my opinion? You have upcoming games against the Flyers, the Penguins, the Red Wings, and the Senators. If you can sweep all of
derail
those, that would be
everybody.
great.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, and the
Home,
Bruins too.
home
Sweep them
series
as well.
home and away with the Habs, and then Philly, Pittsburgh, the Wings, the Senders, and Boston. And the
I could
Rangers
really
series, they took.
if you want to do something really cool, you would just win those last 5 games.
Yeah, and get in maybe, I don't know. Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah,
I mean,
you're not gonna get
nah,
in, but
I think they're out or they're very close to being out. Like, yeah, they're way behind. So like it's not gonna happen. But in terms of the Rangers, like I mean, they took 2 of 3. The other day they lost 4-1, but there was a huge goalie fight between Jacob Markstrom and Igor Shesterkin,
that
which was
was a
like
fun
really
fight to
that was
watch. That
really
was fun.
exciting. Like the goalies just like going out there and like swinging at each other. Like I was like, whoa, like I forgot who even won that one, but it was just like really, really exciting to see in action.
Yeah, I think they cut the camera before somebody was knocked down.
Yeah, no, that's like a goalie fight. Like, I mean, yeah, but yeah, Devils took 2 of 3 from them this season, which was nice. But all kind of like in back weeks too. It's like all So, but yeah, no, I mean, we still have like 7 or so games left, and we'll be back to preview all this next week. And in the meantime, I mean, enjoy obviously March Madness, the Final Four, and everything else. Like baseball, basketball, hockey. It's kind of like I said last week, it's a sports equinox, but the final 4 games are going to be absolutely huge. And over in the women's side, there's like a big like upset too in women's final four actually. So I mean, in terms of UConn going down after being undefeated all season, losing to South Carolina, who's also a very good team, and apparently like Gino Auriemma left early. I don't know. I didn't really get to watch much of this yesterday, but I saw UConn lost. I was like stunned. I was like, I thought UConn was going to win the championship. So they had not lost a game all year. So, and then in the other side, UCLA took down a very good Texas team. So they're 36-1, representing the Big Ten. So now you have battle of, oh wait, no, that would have been, if it was USC versus USC, like, South Carolina versus USC would have been like the battle of the USCs. But instead you have I think most people thought it was going to be UConn, Texas, were like the two teams that were like head and shoulders above everybody. The way they were playing. Now you have South Carolina versus UCLA, who are still both very, very good teams. Don't get me wrong, but we'll have them in the women's championship game tomorrow. So at 3:30, and then men's national championship game on Monday night. We'll have the crown. We'll have like all the college basketball basically wrapping up after this, and so enjoy the big games while they're still here. The whole season kind of comes down to the Final Four.
Yeah, what a time to be alive, right?
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Especially with Michigan, Arizona tonight, and that's going to be like not only a Final Four game, but a very, very good one, as we mentioned. So definitely be in tune for that. But in the meantime, this has been another episode of SportsVibe, 115, I believe, and we'll see you next time. Remember, the vibes are always high on SportsVibe, and we'll see you next week. Have a good one.
Go Islanders.